Hello there, Christoph here. I would like to give an overview of the wireframes of the 5-year report or celebration for the community. So I think it was beginning of July, right around June, July 2020, when this whole community started. I think the scheming started a little bit earlier, but then that's kind of when it started being a public thing that people could join and started working on stuff. So that's 5 years now, and we were thinking that it would be cool to do a little bit of a look back. I'm one of the few people who was there since that beginning, so it makes sense that I'm involved with this. But Mo and PaperPsych were really the ones who started doing the foundational work of this, and so we're now working on the. We did at first, kind of an idea of like what should this whole thing be? Should it be like a PDF? Should it be a website? Should it be short? Should it be stories? And then different content explorations and kind of storytelling strategy, all this stuff. And now we're at a point where we have a wireframe basically, and I'd like to talk through that and then just see what you think and get your feedback, because this should really reflect the community. It's not meant to be some serious corporate annual report or something, but just kind of show all the activity and energy and all the cool things that everyone did. Reflect that in a good way, so we can all look back a little bit, maybe reminisce about a few things, and then also look into the future for maybe another 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. We'll see. So visual style is going to change. It's all black and white here for now, but basically a big headline here: 5 years of Bitcoin design. Maybe it's probably not going to say Cray, but maybe there will be some other visual elements here, something around it. Maybe it'll be animated. Who knows? That is not really defined yet. But then it kind of repeats the story: designing Bitcoin for everyone, with everyone, just a community focus again, the mission, and then like these little tags here: 5 years, hundreds of calls, one design community, building Bitcoin UX in public. Table of contents, because it is a little bit long. Maybe this is collapsed at the beginning, not sure. And then we start with a bunch of stats, because it's actually pretty cool. We dug into the newsletter and GitHub and social media and all of these different things. And it's kind of cool to see all these numbers, like the 80 plus projects that kind of were touched in one way or another, whether they, something that started in the community, or maybe some project that we just did a design review on, and then we have a 1 hour recording of it, people discussing the project, or something from a hackathon or so, or, like how many commits there were to the design guide, or foundation donations received, all these things. It's kind of cool to see. Then there goes into what we believe, and these are kind of the Bitcoin design stickers that we also have a Figma community file for. The idea is not necessarily to have this specific text, but use that format of these kind of stickers. And maybe hyper Bitcoin designization, that kind of makes sense to keep it in the middle. Make magic internet money feel magic. Maybe that stays the same, but maybe something like UX is a new TXO. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything, right? Maybe we'll change that a little bit with something else about decentralization or privacy or working in public, or some of those things. But that's kind of the direction here with this one. Then it goes to milestones, and I'm going to scroll here for a little bit. You see the year 2020 here. You see initial announcement of the community, first community call, first Bitcoin Core app call, these firsts. Then we go into 2021. So one idea here is that the number actually stays fixed in the center of the screen as these kind of little boxes scroll by. And then the last number updates when you move from 1 year to the next. A little bit of a scroll effect there. And then every single thing here should be a link that takes you to here the wallet scrutiny case study, or the newsletter about the 2023 BTC Prague hack day. So everything should be very rich and deep here. Anything you can click on is like, oh wow, there's like all this stuff happening. Because all this stuff was happening, not exaggerating here at all. There are 50 things in here. Some of them things need to be shortened. Like there's some initial grant announcement, and I think we can just say, well, 5 grants, 10 grants, 50 grants, more of this headline milestone thing. And you might have different perspectives. Maybe we missed something. Um, maybe something you don't like here or so, or should be framed differently. All that stuff's really, really helpful. But I think that's kind of cool to be able to scroll through this timeline. And then the next thing is these projects touched. So we went through and really gathered all of the projects that that something was happening. We kind of did AI analysis of all the newsletters and all of this stuff, and all the GitHub issues, and then painstakingly went through everything. So the idea here is that we actually have a very long grid of all of these projects, even if it's kind of annoying to scroll, but just to kind of show, like, look at all the stuff that happened. And then there's a search. Maybe you can tag things, and then every project would have these little tags here. One would be if the project is still live, like I think 1010 Finance 101 Finance not live anymore, it wouldn't have this little arrow that would go to the website. Clicking the logo and name takes you to, let's say, if there was a GitHub collaboration issue or just the most relevant thing that we have about it. And then the tags would provide you some very brief glimpses into what this was about. Like, what year was it? Was it a design review or collaboration? Is it an event? Is it what type of design work was done? And then maybe also if it touches, like, was it about Lightning? Was it about privacy? Just a little bit of a topical focus there. So yeah, these are all, the project names are all in here. Those are accurate, but the logos are missing and these tags are not accurate. But otherwise, the names should be good. So then we kind of went from big numbers, like, oh, look at those projects, into now looking more in people maybe. And this is something where we really need input here. Ideally, we can show some stories from people who came into the community, did something interesting, cool, had some experience, contributed in one way or another. Ideally, we show diversity. Could be a researcher, a designer, developer, accessibility person, could be a student, could be someone very experienced. And I think this part here, these here are all AI created to kind of rough things in. But I think this is kind of cool here. Their journey of how they came in, where they are now, and then the impact of the difference that they made. But yeah, this is where, it's kind of, we have the content outline, but we don't really have the content yet. Then collaboration highlights. So, we had a list of projects. Before that, we had the milestones. This kind of picks out some of those, of some of these, to demonstrate in a little bit more detail about the different things that happen. So Bitcoin Design Guide is obviously the big one, the big project. But the adoption campaigns were also pretty cool. The Bitcoin QR, Bolt 12, Summer of Bitcoin, mentoring in the summer program, or our design track at the BTC Prague Hack Day. Those are all kind of show the diversity of kind of things that happen. But yeah, the titles are maybe what it's going to be, but then the rest of the text is also AI generated. So kind of roughing things in here a little bit. Then testimonials. Something else, I think, would be amazing to get some testimonials from different people from across the 5 years. People who were there at the beginning, people who dipped in and out, just different backgrounds again. Just something about something practical, maybe. Yeah. Then global reach. So the idea here was initially to show where are all these projects happening? Like, is this just a Europe thing or US thing, or where are things happening? Now, projects typically don't actually have a location. I mean, some might be happen by people in a certain country or maybe even city, but many of them don't. It's just so global. So the idea was to show a map of sort and then map something against it. We could ask in the community where people are from, if everyone's okay giving up that information. Discord doesn't really provide country-specific information. We could look at website tracking. Maybe Twitter has some information. I think YouTube stats actually here's some stuff. These are, I think, YouTube channel views. This was from the website, and I think these are Substack subscribers. So maybe we can just add up all these numbers and then just like not be so specific. It's like, 3 people from Brazil, but just just kind of roughen things in. I mean, it doesn't have to be so perfect. It's not some scientific study. Then so these sections below here, they're a little bit rougher. So how we work, that's where it was meant to give an insight. Well, now all this stuff happens. Well, how does it actually happen, right? So it's about learning in public, open source, everything. We work asynchronously, loose coordination, trying to include as many people as possible, like by sharing, videos like this here of the process and asking for input, that type of thing for people who are maybe not so familiar with that. Then it goes into the foundation as kind of an important entity to support what Bitcoin Design does and kind of its roles. So it does fundraising, grant distribution. It is really becoming. It does a lot of partnership development. So Mo, Daniel, and I, we get a lot of requests here just because we're part of a foundation. People see it as like the place to go to. A little bit unintended, I guess. And then resource coordination naturally by doing this fundraising, grant distribution. So I think that's kind of an important thing for people to show here, and maybe all of this work will attract more donations, would be amazing. Then what we've learned, this one is interesting. I think we're not quite sure on it because, who is we? Do we ask everyone in the community what they've learned? Is it about individual learnings? Is it about learning how a design community in open source in Bitcoin can function and how it changes over time? So that would be more of kind of the organizers maybe giving their feedback or so, or sourcing feedback on. So that's something that has to be figured out a little bit. And then what's next? This is also a bit similar where this is kind of AI generated content. There's some content modeling has to happen there. And you could go into, the upcoming challenges, maybe for Bitcoin itself, quantum security, payments, where we are in privacy or so. Maybe it could be about the educational efforts that the community does. Still some work to do there. Also because, as the creators of this report, it's not like we're the ones who decide everything that everyone does. This should be really kind of crowdsourced. So there's like something to balance here. How to join in, that would probably be just some excerpts from the join page, giving people some starting points. And then some type of thank you here, where again, it's the question about who actually writes this thank you. But I do think it's a good thing to thank people in the community and everyone who chipped in all these different ways for making it all happen. And this I just gave this like a little bit of a letter look, just to make it look different, but doesn't necessarily have to be that. And then, people can sign up to get the 10-year report ahead of time. Just a fun way to end it. It doesn't have to be that. So that's kind of where we are right now. As you can see, some sections are more fleshed out than the others. These sections where it's about just gathering statistics, that was kind of there was a lot of hard work, and the easiest kind of to put on the page here, and the things where it's about the kind of what's next and what we've learned. Those are a little bit more difficult because there's like these editorial questions. But we'll share this file, share the video, share it all in Discord, and your input would be absolutely amazing. Also, if you want to give a testimonial, if you want to see your project, you work on a project that happened something in the community, but it's not in the list, all of this stuff, please reach out. So thanks.